We'll be heading to Neomuna, fighting Callus and his Shadow Legion, fighting the strong Tormentors that apparently will be stronger than Savathun and the Lucent Brood that she had, and unlocking the new power of Strand that no one else in the solar system has gotten, which is a very surprising way of how Bungie really said it. We don't really know how this will work, but it's definitely something to look, interesting about on the campaign of how we're going to unlock Strand and how really what it's going to look like, because it's kind of odd to have a subclass power that is very dormant that no one else in the solar system has. So it'll be very interesting on that side of things. But I really wanted to tender eyes to something different. I usually always make a video before the expansion, about a month before, about what the future holds after the expansion launches. I did the same thing with Shadowkeep and Beyond Light. Now we know we are going to get another subclass. It looks very, very likely, and I'll be showing some evidence in this video on that, because the saga is going to conclude after Lightfall in the final shape. The final shape, of course, will be the last expansion, and it looks very, very likely Bungie will be planning for one more element and one more subclass before the saga is over. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about something strongly with you guys. My last video was in the wrong direction. It was supposed to be a normal video on Strand, of course, some updated information on Strand after the recent trailer, as we got some new images for it, and there were some little things about the leaks on it, but the video was just in the wrong direction. It was not scripted that right. It was just a bad plain video, and it was not going anywhere. Sometimes after work it can just be a bit hard to get that 100% on videos, and again, that was just a bad video in general. So I wanted to apologize to you guys. The people who commented the video gave me some really good feedback, but I wanted just to say sorry for that video. That video, I unlisted it. I didn't want anyone to, of course, see that very bad video. So again, I want to apologize to everyone, and yeah, so again, I really am sorry about that. I hope that my videos going forward are in a much better direction. I try scripting more, and I try getting better footage for you guys, and I want to again apologize for that. I'll have a much better updated video on Strand as we get a Strand, deep dive later on, hopefully next week or the week after, but again, I do apologize. But in this video, I really wanted to go into the next subclass, because I wanted to just go into it. I don't really talk about a lot of stuff on the final shape. I haven't made a video on the final shape yet here on the channel. This will be basically my first video on the final shape, and I wanted to be on the new subclass, of course, that we're getting, because it's highly likely we're going to get one more subclass. If you don't believe it, if you say I'm a liar, talk to me in 1 year, and I'll probably be correct on it, because it is very likely. But here's some evidence from some people, and we're going to go into some things on what the color and what the type of power it will be in this video. So, as we noted a while ago, there will be apparently 3 darkness subclasses launching throughout the Dark Saga. There was supposed to be 1 dark subclass for Beyond Light, 1 for Witch Queen, and 1 for Lightfall, as Lightfall was slated to be the end of the, darkness phase, whatever you ever want to call it. And basically that didn't come to pass, as they delayed Witch Queen, and they made the final shape and expansion, and they used all of Year 5 and Witch Queen to focus on the light subclasses. They basically abandoned the power of that would be known as Vapor, which would be a green subclass, and turned that into Strand, focusing 1 more year on it, and abandoned all that, and then of course got all the light subclasses, Arc, Void, and Solar, and got their own 3.0 aspect fragment system that applies way more customization than previous other subclasses ever would, as our old subclasses year 1 through year 3 was just like one little tree and like less customization than ever. So again, it was a good idea for Bungie to do that. We finally have Void, Arc, and Solar that are powerful in their 3.0 version, and now we have, of course, Strand on its way with the 3.0 feature, and it will probably be updated and built upon throughout year 6. But what will year 7 bring for the last subclass? Well, year 7 is slated to have the last power be known of the Light and Dark Saga. With the introduction of Strand, it changes a lot of things. For one, it shows that Bungie is more likely to go with something entirely novel with minimal hints in the lore. and the fact that the Guardian is the first to wield this power in the universe also changes things considerably. It opens the possibility that darkness can be expressed in numerous ways. That being said, there does seem to do something fundamental for the new ability, and that is the weave itself, which, like the void, has always existed and Strand as simply a means of manipulating it. The fact that the weave is a psionic substance of reality also relates it to void, which is also about manipulating the potential energy of the fabric of space-time. So if we follow the logic that Strand and void are related, and with, of course, solar and stasis being related, as they are the two different elements of solar and ice, basically, then that means that the last two have a reasonable connection to a subclass to one another, or the same antithesis is Arc. Arc, unlike Void, deals with the material world. Strand and Void manipulate the laces of reality that support the material objects that move through them, and Arc gives us the full control over the energy of these matter fields. Perhaps the next subclass will give us more control over the shape of something. It would be fitting in an expansion called the Final Shape to do so. With, of course, as I just said, that Strand is most likely going to be connecting to the Void subclass, and with us already knowing by many that Solar is the antithesis of Stasis, that does leave the last subclass, known as Arc, to be the antithesis of the last subclass. So it makes pure sense for Bungie to go in that way, and for us to have the full control of the darkness to be the last subclass. A lot of my friends that I've talked to want it to be that yellow-orange type vibe subclass that Roke uses. If you play the Vow of the Disciple raid, you know that Roke uses a Resonance Orange type of power, and so does the Caretaker. Many believe that this is the final darkness antithesis that we'll obtain in the final shape after the Witness is killed, or the Witness will finally make us have a choice on picking the darkness and the light, and he will give us the final power that he has that will be called... We don't really know what it would be called. It would be probably just the Final Shape subclass. That's like the placeholder that we know of. But I feel like that idea that Arc is the connection to the last subclass is a great connection to point out there for the last subclass. Many have predicted on the color palette for the last subclass. As we know, it will be the full power of the darkness. We can predict it can either be one of two things. One, it could be that yellow substance that Roke was using, that substance Caretaker was using. It was kind of an orange-yellow palette. But another one also says that it could be a deep, deep red. Some type of red-orange kind of mixed in color. So whatever color Bungie really goes with, I am down for. Strand is a cool green, and I like the, cool green in my opinion. But if it was Vapor, I think it would be a darker sort of green, depending on how the, theme of the final expansion goes. We can already predict from the logo of it, it has maybe the color of the subclass. It's like a yellow-orange type palette. Maybe a bit tan in a way, so already we can already think that is the closest we'll know right now of what the color will look like, but very, very, in my opinion, accurate to it. Now that we know that the power will consist of, the full shape and the power of yellow and orange, I definitely believe this will be one of those coolest subclasses that Bungie have been planning for a long time. And from the leaks a while back, like these leaks were from, I believe, Witch Queen Beyond Light, the last subclass after Vapor, which was, of course, the code name of the subclass that was deleted, it would be the final subclass, and it would be very unique to every other subclass. Again, we have Strand. We don't know the full strength of Strand, but it looks very powerful from the trailers. But this other subclass would not only, in what the leaks say, change the game, but it would have a fancy way of killing a combatant in any way possible. I don't know how accurate that leak is from Beyond Light, sort of, because it's really long ago. However, it can be, right. It's the last power. Bungie have been heavily working on it throughout a long time. They had Stasis, which again was probably planned for a whole year from Shadowkeep. They had Strand, which was again delayed, and now it's basically a year, 2 years basically for that. And now the final subclass, you could predict, has been in the works since Stasis released since then, and it does say already on our Bungie UI when you switch over the Stasis, select Darkness subclasses. So it already looks like there's a very high hope of the last subclass, and a high hope that it will come to pass in the final shape. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, then please subscribe and like, and it means a lot to me, and again, your viewership is helping out the channel. I hope you guys did enjoy, and other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.